Hi guys, so we're going to look at writing and solving systems of equations based on word problems and go. So the tips collected at the end of the day at Rocket Cafe were compiled for 161 bills total. There were only $1 bills and $5 bills totaling $421. How many $1 bills and $5 bills were given at the Rocket Cafe? So what I need to do first, remember, is I want to talk about my variables. So your variables sometimes will be in that question. So how many $1 bills and $5 bills? So I'm going to say X for 1 because I don't want to use O. So X is going to be the number of $1 bills, and F is going to be the number of $5 bills. So I'll go ahead and use F for that. So X is going to be the number of $1 bills. And F is going to be the number of $5 bills. Now, what I need to do here, remember, I want to go back and reread. So I know that there were 161 bills total. So remember that the number of $1 bills and the number of $5 bills, both of those numbers added together would give you your total number of bills together. So I know that X plus F is going to be equal to 161. I get that from 161 bills total. There were only, they were totaling $421. And so I know, so remember we keep our money all in one equation. Well, when I look through here, it doesn't look like I have money. This is kind of like the quarters and the dimes because $1 bills and $5 bills have money connected to them, like just in the name, basically. So I know that $1 bills are worth $1, so I have 1x. And then if I take the number of $5 bills and multiply it by 5, that would give me the amount that I have for the $5 bills, and then that would be equal to $421. So all my money went in the same equation. Now, let's look here. We have, so I can solve this using a couple of different ways. Notice that I have the same coefficient in front of x, but I don't have the same sign. So what I could do is go through and multiply by -1, which doesn't change the numbers at all. It just changes the sign. So I'm going to multiply the top by -1. You can multiply the top by -5 if you wanted to eliminate the $5 bill, the F. It just kind of depends on what you're being asked. If it was asked for $1 bills, then I would want to eliminate the number of $5 bills and just find the number of $1 bills. That is kind of sort of pay attention to that question. So I would have -1x plus, minus F is equal to -161. And then I would have 1x plus 5f is equal to 421. And so therefore I'm going to have this, notice that my ones or my $1 bills, the x gets eliminated. So I'm left with 4f is equal to $220. And then I'm going to divide by 4 on each side. And so F is going to be equal to 55. So there were 55 $5 bills. So I can go through there and I can take, I'm going to plug this in to this equation right here. I'm going to plug it in right here. That seems to be the easiest. So I'm going to take 55 and I'm going to plug it in for F into this equation. So I have x plus 55 is equal to 161. So I'm going to subtract 55 from each side. And so x is equal to 106. All right. So there you have it. So I have 106 $1 bills and 55 $5 bills. There you have it. I was looking at example 2, but at Bonanza grocery store, there are 102 apples and oranges left at the end of the day. There are 6 more than 3 times as many apples as there are oranges. How many apples and oranges are at the store? So remember, I want to name those variables first. So I'm going to have 2 variables in 2 equations. I'm going to have A is going to be the number of apples. And so again, this doesn't tell you like, let this variable represent here. You could use X and Y. I like to use like variables that kind of start with it so I know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to use A here. I don't want to use O for orange because again, that can look like a 0, which would then make it look like a number. So I'm going to use R here for oranges. So I have R is going to be equal to the number of oranges. I could use X again if I wanted to, like for ones, I use X, but it does not matter. Okay, so from here, I'm going to write a system of equations. I know that together there are 102 apples. Together there's 102 apples and oranges total, fruit all together. So I know that the number of apples plus the number of oranges is going to give me 102 total together. And I also know that there are 6 more than, that's going to be like plus 6, 3 times as many apples as there are oranges. So the apples is 3 times as many oranges and 6 more. So we can kind of reword that. So the apples is 3 times as many oranges and 6 more. So here you can do you can do a substitution. I think that's the easiest. So I'm going to replace 3R plus 6 for A right here. There's no variable out in front of A, so made it kind of easy. So I'm going to have 3R plus 6 plus R equals 102. And from here, I'm just going to solve. I can get my 2 R's together. They're on the same side of the equal sign. So I have 3 and 1, which makes a 4. So I have 4R plus 6 is equal to 102. Subtract 6 from each side, and 4R is equal to 96. And then lastly, divide by 4 on each side. Running out of room here. And so R is going to be equal to 28. So there are 28 oranges. So I can go back there. I personally think that this is easier to plug it into the top equation. That's just me. But you also know that there's 102 left. So you also could then go back and replace that. So I know that R is 28. So I'm going to take A, let's see. I'm going to erase that right there. A plus 28 is equal to 102. And then subtract 28 from each side. And so A is equal to 74. So 74 apples. 74 apples, 28 oranges. Together make 102. Apples is 3 times plus 6 more of the oranges. It is a little bit work, especially because you have to go and write the equations first. All right, so this is like when we first did this with the gym membership. So Planet Fitness charges $45 for a sign-up fee plus $15 per month. Gold's Gym charges $65 to sign up and $750 per month. At what month do both gym memberships cost the same? So you want to know, when are those two equations equal? Okay, that's what that word same means. So I'm going to say that T is my total cost, and then after so many months, and I'm going to use M for the number of months. All right, so T for Planet Fitness is going to be $45 plus $15 per month there. And then for Gold's Gym, I'm going to have T is equal to $65 plus $7.50 per month. That seems like a pretty good deal right there. And so I want to know when these two are the same. So I want to know when T is equal to T. I want to know when Planet Fitness is equal to Gold's Gym. So I'm just going to set these two equations equal to each other. So this is like the substitution that we talked about. So I'm going to have 45 plus 15M is equal to 65 plus 750M. I wrote that in black since you can't see it in that three right there. So I'm going to solve for M at this point. So I'm going to subtract 750M from this side. I think it's easier. And the reason why I'm subtracting, so I'm doing the opposite, is because I'm moving it across my equal sign. So be really careful about that. This gets eliminated, so I'm left with 45 plus 750M is equal to 25. Excuse me, whoops, 65. Okay, I'm going to have to come up over here. And so I'm going to have, let's see, I'm going to rewrite this. 45 plus 750M equals 65. So now I'm going to subtract 45 from each side. And so 750M is equal to 20 divided by 7.5. And M is going to be equal to, let me go check. $2.67. So at 2 months and 2/3, that's a rounding too. Those two gems are going to be equal. Does it say when? At what month? So they're equal to. So guess what? We don't have to solve for what that total would be. Isn't that nice? So it's after 2 months and 0.67 of another month. So a couple of days. Well, more like 20 days. They would be equal. So I guess you already paid for your second month. Maybe. If you were paying in days, I guess. So remember that some final notes that you always want to determine the variables first. That always comes first. So then you want to go back and reread and make sure that you are setting up your equations correctly. Then solve your system using whichever method you would like. So if you like a particular method, you can always manipulate the equations and make them follow that method. So it's up to you from there. The hardest part is writing the equations, to be honest. So we're going to get lots of practice with this. Your skill check for this one is going to be in Delta Math. Okay, hopefully you're hearing this. Your homework is going, or your skill check is going to be in Delta Math. There's a really cool guided practice deal. You have to get 3 right in a row in order to move on. So that's what I got for you. Writing systems, it's harder to write the system and then a little bit easier to solve it. You got this.